Have you ever been handed a baby? Maybe your baby from the doctor in the delivery room, maybe somebody else's baby. Little Johnny, meet your Uncle Joe. Whether it's your baby or somebody else's, there's a word to describe your movements when you take a baby into your arms. That word is careful. Some other appropriate words: thoughtful, attentive, focused, loving. When someone you care about pours out their heart to you, truly shares what's going on inside of them, speaks for their feelings, and represents themselves, what they are handing to you is something precious, something living, something fragile. I don't mean the person is a fragile person. I mean anytime someone is vulnerable and communicates their inner world to you, they are taking a risk that you will receive it with care. My name's Joe, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor and also an ordained Christian minister. So my perspective on these topics is obviously shaped by a worldview that says God cares about you, and He cares about how you love others well when they are vulnerable with you. What does it look like to be people who listen well? Well, in the passage we looked at in the previous video, James 1:19, James says, "Be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger." We talked about the second two phrases in that video. In this one, I want us to think about what it means to be quick to hear. Now, James is not talking about just listening to random facts about how somebody's day went. The context here in James is listening to others in the precise scenarios that we might be prone to respond with a strong emotion, like anger. The context here is listening in the precise scenarios when we are really tempted to want to start speaking instead of listening. When do we need to be quick to hear and slow to speak? When what we are hearing is the kind of thing that makes us want to stop listening and start speaking. This is usually when someone is communicating a painful feeling, and you are a part of the cause of that painful feeling. So how do we listen well when someone is communicating their feelings? And here's what I want to suggest. And I got this years ago from author and licensed counselor Larry Crabb. When someone is communicating a feeling to you, your response communicates back to them one of two things: either acceptance or rejection. Now, let me be clear. We're talking about accepting their emotions. We're not talking about agreeing with the facts they present. Acceptance in this setting does not mean agreement necessarily. If someone comes to you and says, "It really hurt me when you told me I couldn't borrow your pencil the other day," you can still communicate acceptance of their feelings without agreeing to the details of the event or agreeing that the event maybe should have led to those feelings. So, Joe, are you saying feelings are everything? Of course not. But they are a significant part of our person, and they are usually delicate. When a friend or spouse or coworker speaks for their feelings, vulnerably tells you how they feel, it's like someone handing you that newborn baby. You need to respond with the same gentleness. Relationships are strengthened on the level of intimacy and connection. But when we stay up on the surface, on the level of, well, did this happen or did that happen, we're potentially avoiding the interpersonal connection under the surface. How are we feeling towards one another? How are our feelings driving our words and actions? Again, I'm not saying facts don't matter. I'm saying the facts don't give you license to stomp all over a communicated feeling. You are much more likely to gain agreement on the facts if the person sharing their feelings feels understood and respected and even invited to share more. So again, let's look at a few scenarios. I want you to tell me whether or not these responses are communicating acceptance or rejection of the feeling shared. Now I say tell me, I won't be able to hear you, but I'll give you a second maybe to think it through. These examples, again, they are modified examples from Larry Crabb's book, The Marriage Builder. Here's the first scenario. You come to me and say, "Joe, I really felt hurt today when you told me my idea for a vacation was terrible." Well, what if I respond, "Oh my goodness, I didn't mean that personally. I thought that we were just joking around. Is that response an acceptance of the feeling or rejection of it? I don't have a license to play the Jeopardy theme song, but I'll just give you another second. It's a rejection of your feeling that you communicated. Because in that response, I'm taking a defensive posture. Whoa, that's not what I meant. And then the feeling communicated just feels like it's been thrown aside. All right, let's look at another scenario. You come to me and say, Joe, your comments crush me sometimes. I feel really hurt by what you said yesterday. What if I respond, are you kidding me? You say hurtful things to me all the time. Now, is that acceptance of the feeling or rejection of it? Probably don't need to give you a ton of time on this one. It's a rejection of the feeling. Why? Because in that response, I'm taking the attack posture. You calling out something I'm doing wrong, I'm just going to pay you back by pointing out the stuff that you do wrong. And then the feeling that you communicated just feels like it's been cast aside. Scenario 3. You come to me and say, Joe, tomorrow I got to get up and I got to address the whole team at the office and I got to give a report on the project. I am so nervous. I'm so anxious about it. What if I respond, you'll do amazing. You don't need to be nervous at all. Now, is that acceptance of the feeling or rejection of it? This one's a little trickier because in this one, I am trying to encourage you. But here's something you really want to try and be careful of: denying somebody's emotion. Don't tell someone how to feel. It's how they feel. And to tell them there's no reason for them to feel that is about the same as saying, what's wrong with you? The feeling communicated just feels like it's been thrown aside. All right, one more. You come to me and say, Joe, when we were at dinner last night with our friends, I jumped into the conversation to offer my thoughts. You laughed and said, that doesn't make any sense. I felt like walking out of the restaurant and I'm still hurt by it. So what if I responded, gosh, I am so sorry, I'm really sorry. I feel bad that I did that. Would that be acceptance of the feeling or rejection of it? This is the trickiest one because this one is an apology. In this one, I'm taking ownership. And for many people, this might be a best case scenario, right? So I'm not saying this is all bad, but this can still communicate a rejection of the feeling. You say, how? Well, this is what we call an apology too quickly. And what it often communicates is that you don't want to have to talk about this anymore. Gosh, I'm really sorry. Can you be happy again now? And can everything just be okay again? The feeling communicated feels like it's been thrown aside. All right, so how do we practice accepting emotions when they're communicated to us? How do we receive this infant with care? We don't want to get defensive. We don't want to attack. We don't want to deny the emotion. And we don't want to just rush to apologize to try and make it all go away. What we can practice is reflecting and exploring. Reflecting is pretending you're a mirror and reflecting the emotion back to the person. What I hear you saying is this. What I hear you saying is you feel disregarded by me. What I hear you saying is my words, my actions made you feel small and alone. What I hear you saying is you wish that we were more like teammates in this regard, and you're feeling left out. What you're doing with reflecting is you're allowing space for their emotion to exist and you're validating it. Again, this is not the same thing as agreeing with the facts. You may not be on the same page about exactly what happened. But as I said earlier, if you try and just stay on the surface level of whose memory of events is most accurate, nobody wins up there. But if you're sharing your feelings and listening to each other's feelings, the deep relational connection is possible, even if there's still a disagreement about events. So that's reflecting. And then exploring is asking open-ended questions to allow even more space for the person to share even more if they want to. We tack this on to the reflecting. So the two tools together might sound like this. What I hear you saying is you felt disregarded by me last night when we were out with our friends. That's reflecting. And now exploring, which part of what I did or didn't do was most painful. So that's reflecting and then exploring with an open-ended question. What I hear you saying is you're feeling left out. What else do you want to make sure that I hear and understand about this? Reflecting, exploring, and then for sure, an apology and ownership for your part if it's needed. All right, that's it for this video. Now it's time to practice in your actual relationships, speaking for and not from your feelings, and then practicing accepting, not rejecting the feelings communicated to you. Hard work, but it's worth it for real connection.